Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Contemporary Issues Sunday School class. We are so glad to have you today and to have our classmate Jeff Riley with us to talk about museums. Jeff was with us a few months ago and talked about libraries. He's been on the led the library board, Friends of the Foundation Library. Well, that was a great presentation. So I said, we got to have Jeff back. And he's on the museum. Was previously the vice president of development for the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. So maybe he'll tell us a little bit about that role too, Jeff, as we get going here. But I have a joke about museums real quick. There's a children's museum downtown, I-25. And whenever I drive by, I always think, that's nice. There's a museum for children, but should they really be putting children on display for people to look at like that? It's not very respectful of children. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding. Anyway, enough of the bad jokes. Zoomers, thank you for joining us. Please mute yourself in the lower left corner of your screen when you're not speaking, and we are recording this for future playback. And we have a Christmas party this Tuesday that we want to remind of. And anything to say, Alice?
If you haven't signed up yet, I'm gonna go ahead and send this around again and bring a gift to exchange. And is there anything else I should say?
We have 50
Start time in this.
There was 60 the last.
60 signed up so far. Good, that'll be a fun party.
Start time is
6 p.m.
6 o'clock potluck.
We're gonna do happy hour kind of first, you know, so we have like appetizers for half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour. Then we'll open up the buffet, because last year it got very confusing. So we're gonna do one and then the others.
Hey,
Try and control it. Yep. Try.
very good. Okay. Food, trivia, gift exchange. It'll be a fun time. Hope you can come. I want to recognize Jeff's wife Kathleen also, and thank you for joining us, and he'll chime in with our comments too. I hope you all will comment about your favorite museums and your thoughts. And with that, please welcome Jeff Riley.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. I'll open this with, I'm really not an expert in museums. I did work with one for a few years and it was fun and I loved it. I have a feeling there are folks in the room that have been to many more museums than I have. And I have a feeling that they may know a lot more about museums than I do. So I do want you to ask questions as we go along. To some extent, I do have a presentation to get through, but I thought I had a question about what's your favorite museum in Colorado and why? So Steve put that out ahead of the group in advance. So I thought I'd open by just asking for maybe 3 of those, then I'll get into the presentation and then hopefully we can share more when we're done. But who's got Mason?
Museum of Nature and Science really have the theaters and they have something different in them quite a bit. It's very, very interesting. I've seen one on Madagascar, seen others on monarch butterflies that make the transition from Canada down to Mexico.
Right?
So it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
By the way, we have wireless mics on each side of the room. So yeah, Colleen, grab that one and pass it toward the middle as people want to speak, please.
Is there another
Oh,
one favorite? I saw your head first and then I'll go to you and then I'll get into the presentation. Go ahead.
The little.
Can we pass the microphone to Lola, please? Colleen, is the microphone over there?
Yes.
Can you pass it over, please?
Thank you. The Littleton Museum is probably on the small end of what we're talking about today, maybe not, but it's the heart of a small community. And it's just got so much to offer, and it's a Smithsonian affiliate, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's their neighbors.
Thanks for sharing. I got this guy next.
the Olympic and Paralympic Museum in Colorado Springs. Just find that fascinating, all the history of the Olympics, both Americans and people from other countries. Very interesting, and also a lot of interactive. You can, pretend you're an Olympic athlete and try some different events. It's varying degrees of success.
Excellent. Okay, I've got to wait because I said 3 and we'll get back to more and I'll have you up first and I'll have you up next. When
Jeff, will you define what you mean by a museum?
there's some debate about that. Okay, so I'm going to go through these items here and we can go to the next slide, Steve.
Okay.
Sure.
So there's a picture of Mason's favorite museum where I worked. This is a fairly current view. And I have quite a few images in this presentation, and hopefully that'll kind of remind you of these. Just out of curiosity, how many people have been to the Denver Museum of Nature and Science? I would assume nearly, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm not surprised. It's the most popular museum in Colorado.
Okay.
Go ahead.
That's no. Next one.
Next one. So, I had a lot of trouble, kind of getting some common information about museums because they're so diverse and so widespread. And like in one list, I saw that the Denver Botanic Gardens was listed as the most popular museum in Denver. And I said, well, I don't think I want to include Botanic Gardens.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the reasoning was it's a museum of plants. And so that was the thinking on the group that made that decision. I said here that there are a number of key roles that museums have. And so if an organization has these things, they could likely be considered a museum. The differences between a museum and a library, one of the most significant one is that museums generally don't check out their items to the public and libraries do.
Right.
And so that is one big distinction between a library and a museum. Although some museums will let you check out some things, but not probably specific items in their collection that are somewhat rare. So
Check out the Mona Lisa sometime. Make it happen.
probably
Some
not.
people have tried.
So had a picture here of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City.
Yep.
Who's been there?
MoMA.
Quite a few. See, I said this crowd is going to have a lot more expertise than I do. Museums preserve and interpret history and heritage. They are research institutions. We can go to the next one. They act as an educational resource in many ways. They provide community and engagement and inclusivity services. And this can take a lot of different angles because like at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, they had a fairly large Native American or American Indian collections. And they did a lot of outreach into those communities and had folks from those communities come in to look at and share about the information related to those collections. So that's about kind of outreach and engagement and inclusivity. That's just an example, but that's what a lot of museums do that with a wide variety of items. Museums act as a platform for social dialogue and examples of that. Can anybody think of an example of a museum being a place for social dialogue that can occur?
Social dialogue. Well, there's the Youth Museum over in Montrose, Colorado. They had numerous dialogues in a variety of topics.
Good.
The center at the summer.
Yeah. And this museum,
Montrose, Colorado.
right? Okay. The Ute Indian.
UTE.
Yeah.
The Indian tribe, UTE, right? Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yes.
The Smithsonian Holocaust, now it's not a wonderful topic, but it did present a lot of dialogue.
Yes.
Right.
That's an example I've thought of as well.
In Cincinnati, Ohio, there's an underground railroad museum.
That could drive a lot of talk about slavery and Civil War and other things probably. We can go to the next one, Steve.
Yeah. Microphone, please, to Bill. You want to pass, Bill? Okay, we'll come back to you.
So this, a little bit more about the roles and purposes that museums can play. Lovely picture of the Denver Art Museum Hamilton building. How many people been there? How many people got disoriented in that building?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big deal that the angles and the different pieces kind of can make you feel a little bit of vertigo or a little bit of being off balance. And I'm told and said it was unanticipated, but I don't know. But it's it's a wonderful building and a tremendous, it's actually a tourist draw in Denver to come and see this architectural masterpiece. And it's a very cool looking building. Other things, museums, as far as role and purpose, they promote well-being and inspiration. I'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about trends. They do act as economic contributors. There's been a very large museum I'm going to highlight later. It was built in large part to drive some economic benefit, not in the US. So I'll give you a little teaser there. The last thing I mentioned here is one of the goals of museums is they talk about their guests is to ignite passion about the topic. And they want folks to come in, learn, get excited, and then carry that out into the world as a way to build their audience and also show their value to a given community. And this is the last one on role and purpose. The Smithsonian Institution, which is all of the museums, says that their purpose is the increase and diffusion of knowledge. And so that's another example of what a museum's role and purpose is. That's a good one. The first museum was built in 530 BC by Princess Inigaldi. It was located in the state of Ur. I've got a map up there. If Steve goes to the next slide. Yep, thank you. And can you scroll down on that a little bit?
Yes.
Look at Abraham from Ur.
Yes.
And there is Ur. And you can see when you took your Western civilization class your first year in college, you learned that Western civilization was born in this area of the world. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers right there. And Ur was there on the Gulf, on the Persian Gulf. So that little blue section at the bottom is about. I didn't have the chance to really research a lot about Ur, but it was a thriving metropolis at the time. And again, 530 BC, it was
Abraham.
Sorry.
That's Abraham's place, right?
Well, in time,
Chaldees,
I'm sorry,
it's in the Old Testament, where the Chaldees.
I don't know that. Good. Okay.
You agree with me?
I agree with, I think Abraham had something to do with it. He came out of a.
Go ahead.
Western world.
So somebody said they love the British Museum.
Oh, yeah.
There's a picture of the reading room.
Oh, my.
At the Rosetta Stone there.
Types of museums, there are many. I didn't, there's no way to list them all. But obviously art, obviously history, science and technology, natural history, which is different than history. Children's museums, already referenced. Specialized museums, and then there's other ways to classify museums by audience, by collection, and by format. So Meow Wolf in Denver is considered a museum. And
What is that? Tell us what that is.
well, it's an experiential space where you go in and you interact with different objects and light and things like that. And you might walk into a room and then it becomes something very different than what you were expecting. And at the one, I don't think this is in Denver, but the one in New Mexico, you can dive into a toilet and then you end up in another space. So that's a different format of a museum than one where you would go and look at items displayed on the wall. And those have become more popular here with the advent of artificial intelligence and virtual or augmented reality. So those are some of the things. We can go to the next one. In terms of the number of museums, UNESCO, there's conflict in this, and we're going to see it in a couple more places, but UNESCO reports that there are about 95,000 museums worldwide. other sources suggest there's 104,000. There's not a huge difference between 95 and 104, but it's surprising that there's not one common number listed, and it just depends on what they consider to be a museum, and then whether they're counting or excluding maybe some countries, like in some areas, in some of the lists, China is not counted.
Oh,
China has some very large museums. And then in the US, 35,000 museums. There's a little more agreement about that. And then Colorado has no agreement there, 218 to 355. Again, depending on who's counting. So there's a wide variety of ways to classify something as a museum, and then a wide variety of a way to count them. So this is the Clifford Still Museum, and it's dedicated to one artist, Clifford Still. And I actually am helping them with some work now as an advisor. So that's kind of fun.
and where's that?
That is right by the Denver Art Museum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right behind it. And it's fairly new. It was opened in 2008. So there is a website called museums.eu. So I thought it would have a European emphasis. This lists the museums in the world by visitors. So you can look at museums by collection, how many items they have in their collection, what's their budget, things like that. I chose to list the most visited. And you can see Louvre is number 1, American Museum of Natural History, number 10. And it goes on from there. This does list the National Museum of China in Beijing. And the National Gallery is in the one in London, not the one in the US, because there is a National Gallery of Art here in the US.
Right.
Right.
How many have been to the Vatican?
Yeah.
No. Good.
That's a goal there.
Another great source of information, of course, is Wikipedia. So I thought, what the heck? Let's look at Wikipedia. So they've got things listed a little bit differently. National Museum of China is second on this list. And on the prior list, it was third. Not a huge difference, but a little bit of a difference. And then you've got the Shenzhen Museum on this list, Wikipedia, with 6.8 million visitors a year. And it is not listed here.
Yeah.
So there's some real, it's hard to really get singular data that's kind of agreed to. I don't know why that is, but I didn't find that when I did my research about libraries around the world, but I did find it about museums. So it's just interesting.
Yeah.
Susan?
If you could count Meow Wolf as a museum. Which I'm saying, I'm questioning that, but it depends on what your criteria are. You can see easily why some people would say no,
Yep,
and some people would say yes.
it's a great point.
Because, typically a museum is preserving the history of a culture.
Yep.
Or in some aspect.
Yep.
I'm not sure I see that for, but, that's just my opinion.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. Joy,
Yes.
would you pass the microphone forward?
It's gone.
Wherever it is. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
I was really intrigued by the fact that some places are museums like the Anne Frank House, and because of the small nature of it, you're not going to get big numbers of attendees. So I think it should be on the list too.
There's one right behind you.
Susan, I think you're wrong.
Respectfully?
Yeah.
Museums.
Yeah.
And those are interactive.
Oh, it's not interactive necessarily.
Oh, okay.
That's not the only criteria
Okay.
I would use, but I know, I've been to the children.
Yeah,
It's a very,
that's a museum for kids and.
Right.
So that
There
fits
are
around.
things there for
in
them to
there, yeah.
learn and.
So.
Yeah.
Again, highlighting why there are a wide variety of numbers. If you two counted, we might get radically different numbers about how many museums there are in Midland. Yes. One more and then I gotta continue.
I promised Steve that I wouldn't raise my hand, but I'm doing the same. One of the ones that I've loved is the George O'Keeffe Museum in Golden.
Golden?
Small, but Yeah, it smells, but it's amazing.
In Golden, Colorado?
Well, I made it. Yeah. It's benefit, of course.
Great, okay. So that's on a worldwide basis. We can go to the next one. And now we go to the most visited in the US. And I use Wikipedia here. Metropolitan Museum of Art, 5.7 million. There's several Smithsonian's here, National Museum of Natural History, the National Air and Space Museum, the African American History. It's should be. Yeah, it is. The National Museum of African American History and Culture is there too. How many have been to that one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. And it's relatively new. And it's somewhat a center of some controversy right now, which I'm gonna talk about in a few minutes. And the next one here. Oops,
Wow.
do I go backwards?
Wow.
There's the US. There we go. Most visited in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
So with respect for those who don't like Meow Wolf and those that do, I did go ahead and include a picture here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just.
It's okay to have a difference of opinion. Denver Museum of Nature and Science #1. Meow Wolf is interesting. They're private, they're for profit, and they report over 1 million visits a year, but we don't really know how many they have because they don't want to share that publicly. So we're not sure, but that was what I found. Children's Museum is right up there at 350,000. And History Colorado, someone referenced earlier, at 110,000. Quite a big drop from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science down to the others, which is just interesting.
Jeff, what's the Meow Wolf?
It's in there. I tried to say what it was and I failed miserably.
It's a light show, an interactive light show.
It's creative thinking,
Creative thinking.
young people who are thinking outside of the box. My granddaughter, we took her, she loved it.
And it's interactive.
It's just,
Microphone to Colleen, please.
creative art.
Yeah.
It's really wild.
Say that again, Colleen. Creative.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would consider it a museum of creative thinking and art. Because they've taken different themes and just made it go crazy. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it. It's really different.
It's very different. Yeah.
No? You like? Is it in the core city, you know?
It's right in downtown Denver. It's hard to see, but it's right at about where Auraria joins downtown.
Football stadium.
It's near the football stadiums.
That's the 6th Avenue.
Very interesting.
I'm gonna go on here. So I'll come to you. Interesting things. I tried to highlight a few things that I found. Some of you may know this already, so I'll pull a little bit. The Denver Museum of Nature and Science has 18 hidden elves and exhibits. There's a picture of one here on that picture. You can see that's in one of the dioramas. And it's a little elf that's actually painted onto the stone there. They also have little figurines that are placed there. And there are folks that come there and their mission, they have a little checklist, and their mission is to go find all the elves. And sometimes people aren't aware of that. Has anyone gone in and tried to count all the elves at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science?
I found one by the escalator.
Yeah.
Is that year round or just at the holidays?
No, it's always there. Yeah, always there. So the north building of the Denver Art Museum is the Ponte building. And it's the older of the two buildings now. And one of the interesting things there is that Ponte tried to angle, the windows they look like they're all the same from the outside, or almost all the same, but they're actually not. They're in different shapes. And he designed it so that you could frame something you look at outside and use the window as the frame. And so you can go in there and you could perhaps look through a window and try to catch an image of what least now, things have changed on the outside some, so you may not see the same thing, but that's something that not lots of folks are aware of. And Susan, do you know about this already?
Go ahead, I'm sorry,
Well,
we were checked.
I wondered if you knew about the Ponte windows being kind of frames to images on the
Yes.
outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and when you're inside, it's really delightful if you're giving a tour or something, because you can point that out to people, and people really enjoy that. Yes.
Susan is a longtime curator, or I'm sorry, docent at the Denver Art Museum. There is a Sasquatch museum. It's called the Sasquatch Outpost. It's in Bailey, Colorado, and it is entirely devoted to the cryptid Bigfoot. So how many of you knew that Bigfoot was a cryptid? I did not know that until I did this presentation. A cryptid is a make-up creature.
Those they're real.
Really? Unicorn.
Anybody been to the Sasquatch Outpost? Okay, what was it like?
That's interesting.
Interesting. Thank you.
What's a cryptic?
It's a made-up creature. Oh. It's a type of made-up creature.
Santa Claus.
So the Florida Transportation Museum uses mannequins from a wax museum. And these mannequins sit in the cars. And they've surveyed visitors about what their impressions were. And a huge response rate to about what their impressions were is they found the wax mannequins creepy and unsettling.
Yeah.
Now, how many of you have been to the Florida Transportation Museum, noticed the mannequins and thought, oh, I don't know about this? Didn't have that impression. Okay.
Isn't there a big wax museum in Las Vegas? Also with celebrities?
Yeah.
Celebrity wax museum?
The one where people kept punching Trump.
Maybe.
They had to take it down.
Oh, yeah.
Go next one here. A few more interesting things that there is the Fountain, Colorado Historical Museum has a confession from a man named John Spicer. The confession was written in a piece of wood, on a piece of wood, and Spicer then placed it inside the wall of a house that he lived in, and then sealed it in the wall with whatever the popular wall materials were at the time. It was there for 70 years, and it was discovered and then came out, and it was discovered in 1944, and it became part of the museum's structure. So
What did it say?
he confessed to a murder. Yeah, that would help, wouldn't it? I have that. There were some folks in Gilpin County, Colorado, and the History Museum in Central City has this, who built a mountain submarine out of wood. They loaded it with 3 tons of rock, and the guy who built it and had it built was gonna take it out on its maiden voyage, and it sunk before he could get into it. It laid on the bottom.
I got that one figured out.
It laid on the bottom of Missouri Lake, which is up there, for about I should know this, but for about 60 years.
Oh, wow.
And then some people in town said, we ought to bring that up and put it in the museum. So they did. So if you'd like to see the only mountain submarine ever built, you can go to Central City and go to the Gilpin County History Museum. And then this is just kind of an example, but a lot of people don't know about this. Carroll Shelby was a very well-known, very highly regarded car designer and builder. And he built many of the very first very, very high performance cars, sometimes called supercars. And he still has his name on the Ford Mustang. There's a Shelby version of the Ford Mustang and things like that. There is a museum in Boulder that is dedicated only to cars designed by Carroll Shelby. And it's one of the best collection of Shelby cars in the world. If you're into cars.
Yeah.
The cars, right?
So we're gonna move to trends and hot topics, but I wanna take a break here to take some questions, and I know that you had or comments, so.
I had a couple of comments. There's a couple of museums I've been to that didn't make your slides. Probably because they're somewhat private, there's the Western Art Museum downtown Denver.
Yep, at the Navarre.
That's, yeah, it's phenomenal. If you get a chance to go see that one, and the other one isn't necessarily called a museum, it's the Cherokee Castle and Ranch. And Tweet Kimball has over $1 million of artwork that's in that ranch, and you can go, have tea or whatever and see it. It's just beautiful.
The Navarre is stunning. It's a tremendous collection of Western art, and it's owned by Philip Anschutz. And it's in a very cool building. I don't actually know how open it is anymore. Do you? How'd you get into it?
It is open to the public. I think there's certain hours and you may have to make reservations. But originally it was not. It was his private collection, and if, you had some pull, you could get to see it. But it's an incredible collection. He collected chronologically through the history of the West. So if you go, you start at the beginning and then you just go all the way to current time. It's over the top. So I would recommend it, particularly because we live in the West. It's our history.
Yeah, I've been in it too, and it's a tremendous collection.
3 days a week in the afternoons.
Okay, something like that.
Yeah, I think.
What's it called? Is it the Navarre?
Navarre is the name of the building. It's an historic building.
If somebody wanted to Google it, how would they find it? The Museum of Western Art, Denver. So Google Museum of Western Art, Denver. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a tunnel underneath.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a whole other museum.
I see the microphone up, so
Yes.
Oh, yeah. What's the name of it again? Yeah.
the Museum of Western Art,
And it's located in downtown Denver.
located in downtown Denver, right across the street from the Brown Palace.
Yes.
So, I tried to identify a few trends and hot topics. There were a number. But one of the biggest things that museums have experienced since the pandemic is a downturn in attendance. And I use the Clifford Still Museum here as an example. It is a smaller museum in Denver, but they had 48,000 visitors in 2019 and 24,000 last year. That's a huge hit. And there are, I couldn't research all of them, but I know nearly every museum took a big hit in attendance, and it's taken time to build it back, and most are not back to where they were before the pandemic. They are getting closer though, but that's been a trend that's affected all because many museums depend on their admissions to help pay their bills and stuff.
It's too bad.
This kind of gets to the Meow Wolf thing a little bit maybe, but exhibits and experiences are becoming more and more virtual, both inside a museum. So you can go to a museum now and get goggles, and you can, instead of seeing things live, you can look at them through the goggles, and the goggles will pull up a lot of information about what you're looking at. And you can also sort of ask questions of it, and they'll interactively work with you as you experience it. It's sort of the next level of getting the earphones and the recording and having that be your kind of guide for the tribute. That's still quite popular and done in a lot of places, but there is definitely a trend for that. And then the other trend is to go online and have an online virtual reality experience with the museum from your home. So those are some things that are happening because of advances in technology.
But that would discourage people from going in person.
That's true. So there's a strategic decision they gotta make there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think some are saying, we're not doing that because we need people in the door. And some are saying, we need to build our audience, and if they want to see us virtually, we'll take them. So it's to be sorted out, I think, Steve.
Interesting.
Another trend, and I just saw a headline about this weekend. Before, I came out after I wrote this, but museums are repatriating parts of their collections that were improperly appropriated. So there was a headline in the Denver Post this week about some of the pieces that the Denver Art Museum is having to return to Southeast Asia because it was originally stolen. Then it was gotten to a dealer who apparently knew it was stolen, but didn't admit that.
Right.
Who then sold it to the Denver Art Museum. This happened many years ago, and now folks from Southeast Asia, Cambodia, they're saying, hey, this was improperly acquired and we want it back. It's part of our culture and part of our heritage, and it belongs with us. And so that is happening in lots of places. I'll get to you that when I was at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, the museum had some bones from graves of American Indians that should never have been removed from their sacred site. And so those communities came, and the museum was very cooperative about it, and said, we want these back on our land where they belong. And there's a whole process by which you repatriate these things that were improperly acquired. You can't just go to the curator and say, hey, this actually doesn't belong here. You need to send it back. And the curator says, okay, take it. There's quite a big process to go through, and it takes a lot of time. So that's why you might see that things were, you heard about something that was improperly located, and it might take a few years actually to get it back because there might be a debate about where does it really belong?
Sure, yeah.
Where was that original site? And if it's not the original site, how are you gonna, deal with that?
I
Rob?
believe a great deal of Anasazi Indian artifacts from Mesa Verde area were taken to European countries.
Mhm.
So there's Colorado's
Right,
involved in this.
Yep. That's right.
The Elgin marbles.
I was just gonna say that.
Yes, exactly.
Lord Elgin's marbles
Oh.
in the British Museum.
I don't know this story.
Oh, yeah, they're from Greece, they're in the British Museum. And Greece wants them back, and the British Museum won't give them back.
They were part of at the edifice or what do you call it, up on top?
Facade.
Facade, maybe?
Yeah.
But Lord Elgin's the one that grabbed those, who took them back to England.
Okay.
So they just call it Elgin's marbles.
Okay.
As long as I have the microphone.
Go for it. You have all power in the world with the microphone.
We are going to have the privilege of seeing the new Cairo Museum in January.
I'm gonna mention this one, yeah.
Which I think will probably make it to those lists pretty soon. It has only been open, I think, a couple of months.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's got great reviews.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Is it history from that area? It's not an art museum. It's probably,
yeah.
is it Egyptian artifacts and things like that? Okay.
We've been to the old Egyptian Museum, which was old and dusty and hot, but I think that's still open as well.
But the old one was very interesting.
Two, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next slide here. So here's the thing that I mentioned about the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Museums are under pressure from the federal government currently to remove race and LGBTQ plus based exhibits because they are anti-American. Funding is tied to this initiative. And the New York Times, I found an article, reported that 1/3 of all museums are facing funding cuts. Now, that not all of them are due to this, because at one point, the current administration had eliminated the Institute for Museum and Library Sciences. And that was a primary funder of museums and libraries from the federal government. And the IMLS has been reinstated. It now is continuing to fund, and it's funding the commitments that it had made before. And there's some debate, I couldn't really ascertain exactly what the longer term future looked like. But this is a major source of funding for museums. And I think we should all be aware of that. And I'll get on my soapbox because of my background with both the library and the museum. But if you hear about this, there are a number of online places where you can sign on to say, I support the IMLS. And if you're so inclined, I'd encourage you to do that because it does help. I call it, so I'm revealing myself here. I think America is a great place. I think it isn't perfect, but I think it's a great place. And I think wonderful things have happened here. Not everything, but a lot of good things. And I think that the IMLS and the federal government has helped to make America one of the great places because of funding like this. And so, to the extent that you're so inclined and you hear about it, I think it might be worth encouraging this continuing funding of museums and libraries. Sorry to go a little.
No, that's.
So this is kind of interesting. Museums are now promoting themselves as wellness spots.
Oh.
And I don't know if you've seen, but you can do yoga at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. They offer yoga classes early in the morning before hours. And doctors now prescribe art museum visits to help with mental health challenges. And it's just, and you've felt this, I've felt it. You go into a museum and you get a good feeling. And the feeling you get is there's beauty in the world, there's knowledge in the world, there's stories in the world that are worth saving and telling. And so I think this idea of them as wellness spots is just kind of taking advantage of that sort of, I'll say, sublime feeling that one can get in that space. I don't know that you actually get that with the virtual reality stuff. I have my doubts about it. I could be wrong. I am not of that generation as much. But if you are feeling down, it might be worth a visit to a museum. Just throwing it out there. And I think you'll be pleased to see this. Yes.
Pass the microphone back to
Great
Gene,
piece of
please.
Art. Great piece of art and just sitting there and absorbing the great piece of art. The other going to pioneer villages, which we have several here in Colorado, to see what the early pioneers went through to survive. They give encouragement for today's times and circumstances.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, being in front of a great piece of art is, and to sit and take it in, not just walk by. Don't just walk by. Sit down. They usually have a sitting space and take it in and get up close and you can see what the artist did and how they did it. And I think they did it from far away.
I think they need more benches in museums. There's not enough. Yeah, Alan. Pass the microphone to Alan, please. Okay.
There are two types of museums that I was happy to see recently. One is the local actually in Parker. There's a private museum that's called the Auto Vault. It used to be a collection by this lady. Over her lifetime, she accumulated cars from the first car to the latest hot rod here in the US. And if you're a car enthusiast, it's really a nice exhibit to see. The other type of museum that I experienced was in Tokyo, and they don't call them digital museums, but, I have not been to the Wolf Cat Museum here.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Yeah, the cats, you know,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
But the museums in Tokyo, I would describe it as, just visually. You get a visual appreciation of creativity. It's hard to describe, but it is creativity, but they use a lot of lasers. One museum, everyone must take their shoes off, for example, and you go into this incline with warm water to wash your feet. If you actually store your shoes in a locker to see the museum, the rest of the museum barefoot. And then you go into these huge rooms, and a lot of them are with a digital light show that you can actually lie on the ground and just watch the digital light show lying down in this huge room. And some rooms are just encompassed with mirrors, with flowers hanging down almost to your waist. And you can go in and just, they encourage you, it's hard not to touch the flowers, they're real flowers. And most people just sit or lie down on the ground and look at the visual stimulation from the flowers and the mirrors and et cetera, et cetera. If you ever have the opportunity to go to Tokyo, I would encourage you to try to see one of these museums. They just opened up a new one. And next time we go, where my daughter is really into the Cat's Meow type music.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
We've got about 12 minutes left.
Yeah.
I want to give
Before we get,
Jeff time to
yeah,
finish.
and I think we want to ask if there's any questions from the.
Yeah.
The Zoomers. This is the museum that was referenced earlier, the Grand Egyptian Museum. It's also called the GEM, GEM for Grand Egyptian Museum. It contains the most complete set of artifacts from King Tut. And it is huge. And this museum is huge. And this is the one where I was referencing, the state of Egypt have said, we want to do this to preserve our heritage, to show off our heritage and history, and also to generate, there'd be a stimulus for our economy. And they believe that this will become one of the most visited sites in the world, and in the first year or two, it most likely will be. And over time, it'll just take some time to tell. But it's if you go online and look for Grand Egyptian Museum, you can get a sense for the scope and span of this thing. And it might be fun, taking Steve's job here, to hear about your visit to the gym after you've been there.
One of the advantages of virtual stuff is, for example, I've been watching on YouTube to become familiar. I mean, I'm sure it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's so big. And the other thing is, I grew up in a little tiny town in the middle of nowhere where a lot of people still live. And virtual gives you a chance to see things that you might not ever be able to see in person.
Yeah.
That's not true.
One more, because she's been patiently waiting, and then.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, the other one that I have recently been to that I thought was really cool. You have grandchildren, I would recommend this one. It's called the Museum of Illusions. It's on 16th Street Mall. And it's all about how to use the camera. It's not just the camera on your phone. They've got the most amazing things. You look at something and you think it's this small and it's really this big, and they make you look small.
And it's a great place. You can spend a good hour, hour and a half with little kids there and just have a ball. And frankly, I was there with one of my friends, and I'm not a little kid anymore, and we had a great time.
Thanks for sharing.
Good. Did you want to say anything about the Louvre, your last
Oh, yeah.
slide?
So here's my last slide. I couldn't go away without showing the Louvre. Who has not been to the Louvre? Okay.
Just a few.
A few,
Yeah.
that's okay. It was just easier than saying, I've been once and I'd love to go back, and it's kind of it is overwhelming, and but the design, the one thing I haven't mentioned, and I'll close with this, is the architecture museum. Sometimes just going to see the building is a very cool experience, because they generally have hired very famous architects at whatever time period it was built. And they've done a tremendous job of finding a place to house this history and heritage that we all get to enjoy. So we're gonna go to
We
more
all
questions.
want to give our Zoomers a chance to comment or question if they want to, so they don't feel like they're interrupting us. Anybody, Susan, would you like to talk about Toronto since you're there? Any museums there or anywhere else you enjoy?
There we go. Well, I was thinking,
You're muted again, Susan.
oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Toronto has some really beautiful museums, and one of the things that I've been trying to get some of the philanthropists that I work with to consider is really creating a Smithsonian-like city where entrance fees are nil or reduced. And a couple of them did do that with our Art Gallery of Ontario. And so we have an annual membership of $30. And that's great because, you know, these museums are so expensive, and a lot of families go out during the weekends and tons of kids. And, you know, it could be a couple $100 by the time you get, you know, everybody in. So our art scene is really big, and we have a lot of course, cultural, opportunities as well. We just had a Air Canada huge jumbo cargo plane land yesterday, returning items from the Vatican. And it was all the indigenous Inuit relics that they had been holding. And so the Inuit are going to be responsible for disseminating those items back to the tribes. But, you know, so we have a lot of the same issues going on up here. And then the other thing I would say is one of my favorite museums was the Ellis Island, which is really cool. And then, of course, when you talk about architecture and a draw, Bilbao, you know, just transformed the community. So there are lots of examples of where architecture is the draw as much as the contents of the museum.
Very good. Thank you. Doug or Linda, if you want to jump in, go ahead. If not, we'll come back to the folks in the room here. Okay. All righty. Anybody else? You had your hands up. Joy, you haven't commented yet. Go ahead. You got the microphone? Microphone's coming back to you. Okay.
One you don't want to ever miss is the Pizza Hut Museum in Wichita, Kansas.
Is that the best pizzas on display? Did it have the best pizza on display or what? Right.
It was started with 2 kids.
Original Pizza Huts.
The campus.
Uh-huh.
And it's very small, but it's very interesting. And another one we went to this summer was the Wizard of Oz Museum, and that too is in Kansas.
Oh. I'll mention one real quick, the Breckenridge Mining Museum. If you've ever been to that one, it's pretty good. You know, it has all the photos of the early miners there in the 1800s and about the history of the city too. Mason.
So Colleen just showed me this, visiting the Museum of the Bible in Washington, DC. I've never heard of that.
And it looks like it, I mean, I was saying to Mason, I'd really like to go. It says, this state-of-the-art museum in the nation's capital showcases engaging insight into the history, narrative, and impact of the Bible. So it looks like it might be relatively new.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just wanted people to be aware of it's there.
Very good.
Yeah, the tenement museum in New York City.
What?
In Lower Manhattan, there's a place called the Tenement Museum. And it's a collection of different tenements that have been preserved. And so when you go into them, and you can go on a bunch of different tours, but when you go into them, you get the whole family history or families history, different families that might have lived in that tenement. It's really amazing. So it's, like a melting pot of immigrants.
Very interesting. Microphone anywhere over here?
Yeah.
Or just use your big voice?
There's a good museum in Fort Sumner, New Mexico, and it's the history of the Long Walk. Where the Navajo were displaced from Arizona to New Mexico for a failed experiment that lasted 3 years. Probably a third of those people died from bad water from the Pecos River, as well as it was in a place where they ran out of firewood and they had 3 consecutive years of corn failure. So it kind of chronicles that long walk that the Navajo, which they prefer to be called the Dine. Rather than Navajo, and also the Mescalero Apaches, because they were also part of that in Fort Sumner, New Mexico, and it's right next to something that gets a lot more visitors, and that's the grave of Jesse James.
Okay, Peter.
Sorry, I'm arriving a bit late from another meeting, and if you said this already, I apologize. But I wanted to say, in case you hadn't said, 4 briefly that I'd like to mention: the Colorado Women's Art Museum, South Santa Fe Boulevard near downtown, a lovely small museum. The Olympic Museum in Colorado Springs, the Cowboy Museum in Colorado Springs. I think it's called, what is it called? Western Cowboy.
Yeah.
The one where they feature all of the famous rodeo and other folks. And then the 4th one I'd like to mention is the Holocaust Museum in Washington.
That's a good.
Make sure that if you have the opportunity to tour the governor's mansion here. Do it. And Molly Brown House is pretty good.
They would be considered museums, wouldn't they?
It is, yeah.
That fall under the museum.
Yep.
Category.
And we have docents that go to church here who will take you on a tour through the governor's
The
mansion.
seniors went there not too long ago.
Yes, I.
Last summer.
Any other quick hit of a Colorado museum that you like and why? Yes.
If you're in Glenwood Springs, drop down to Marble, Colorado, and they have a wonderful little museum there about the history of Ewell Marble. That's my last name. I have ancestors that. And they have lovely little, it's a little small town. They have a great barbecue restaurant in one town, and gift shops where you can buy marble stuff. But it's a great, and you can do tours. But the little museum is in a temporary location across from the little school in town. But they've got so much information if you're interested in that kind of thing. But you probably know that Ewell Marble was used for the Lincoln Memorial
And the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Yeah.
And everywhere. It's in the floor of the Capitol building. It's everywhere. Post offices. And the Italians bought it because they were running out of their railroad.
Yes.
And when it went up for lease again, they bought it. So it's now run and operated by the Italians because they recognize it as some of the finest white marble in the world. But they're big pieces of them.
Along the road. Yeah.
We are about out of time. Any final comments? Yes, Chief.
Jeff, would you give any concluding comments it's not already been given as to why it's important to have museums? Anything we've left out? Why it's important to have these museums that everybody has mentioned?
Thanks for asking me an unprepared comment. I think that museums are important because they give us a snapshot into another place and another time. And they give us exposure to, I guess I'll say, beautiful viewpoints. And that these beautiful viewpoints could be considered enlightening So we can kind of, if you think about our existence as people, you could kind of be more self-actualized by going to a museum and having an experience that brought a time and space and view to your life. There's a unscripted shot at that. I hope that made some sense.
Of course. Okay, we gotta go pretty quick.
Jeff's comments that if you look at the word museum, and you might put me on one like this, they really preserve the history and culture of people. Whether it's people in China, people in the US, people in Canada, that is their real mandate, let me put it that way, mandate to preserve these things. Because they do tell the history and other generations will not have us around to tell them the history.
Very good. Yeah, all museums are kind of history focused in that way. Okay, two quick things before we go. The Denver Art Museum has the Camille Pissarro thing display on until February. It should be very good. Just wanted to remind you that. And also, as you leave, enjoy Jeff's artwork on the wall right outside of our roof here. India and everyone in the St. Andrew display here. But Jeff has done India ink art, and so look for his name right outside of the door. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Tuesday.
Tuesday for the Christmas party. Thanks. Bye, Susan.
Anything I can bring you from the new museum?
Oh, my gosh, it's quite an offer. I can't really think of anything.
There's a lot of stuff on it.